and I am chewing gum, but I'm gonna try to do a natural treat. Why is that like I'm always having issues when I first begin a video? I am going to attempt to do a natural chew, and I am also going to be drinking some wine. So this is more and it is a Cabernet, a semi-sweet Cabernet. And y'all know that by now my hands are always ashy because I'm always having them underwater, but we're gonna take care of that with some Bath and Body Works Daisy. Oh no, Denim and Daisy's lotion. I refuse to start another video with ashy hands, okay? So maybe I'll make this my norm. And I am filming in my living room, so we have a change of scenery. This right there is just the wall that leads to my room in a little fancy mirror. You can't tell that it's fancy, but it is. And that right there is my daughter's room. So let's hope she listened to me when I said I am filming right now. This is why I always film in my room, because you just never know. You just never know. Okay, so enough rambling. Let me pour some wine. Oh, I made a mess. Let me tell y'all something. I was trying to get this cork off, and I was able to get some of the cork off, but naturally a piece cracked. So I put the thing back in to twist and close, and the other piece just sunk into. Let me see if you can see that. I have a floating cork. Y'all see that? That is craziness. Okay. So let me taste some of this. Delicious. Happy Friday, guys. Cheers. Okay. So I have my notes here as well. So if you see me looking down, you know what I'm looking at. As always, that I say in every true crime video. If true crime is not for you, please click off now. We are not supposed to live a life that makes us stressed. We are supposed to be trying to find healthy ways to de-stress us. So if you feel like listening to this video will make the rest of your weekend bad and you're gonna be just thinking about this case, please don't do that to yourself. Click off, and whenever you feel like you can handle listening to the case, come back. I'll always be here. but just roll with it tonight, okay? Yeah, so Winnipeg ended up sleeping on the bench in Edmonton, and he was outside of a grocery store. The next morning, Lee saw a boy, so just a random boy walking around, and he offered the little boy, he was like, hey, I'm selling a laptop, do you want to buy it? So the boy agreed, and it never said the price of of how much he was selling his laptop for, but the little boy obviously had the money on him, and he agreed, and he sold the laptop. Later that day, oh my gosh, this is gonna irritate me. So later that day, a man named Tim McLean was returning home from work and boarded a Greyhound bus. So if you guys remember what I said, he is also known as the Greyhound bus murderer. So we already know where this is going. Let me take a sip of calmness. Okay. This wine is really good, guys. Like, if you guys don't like really sweet, like sweet wine, sweet red wines, this is something that you should check out. Again, it's called Zmora. ZMORA. most of McLean's remains, which were later found in Lee's pockets. Sad. Like, were you putting his flesh? And I mean no disrespect at all, because this is serious, but I really want to know, like, were you putting pieces of his flesh in your pocket to later eat? This is crazy. It's crazy things going on in this world. Rest in peace. Like, so a witness eventually, called in to the police, and they stated that during the attack, Lee didn't appear to be in any type of rage. He didn't show any type of emotion. She stated that it was like he was in a robotic state. He had no feelings, no type of facial expressions. He was just, no, I'm not gonna say normal, because he definitely wasn't normal. But to the outsiders, he appeared to be just calm. The trial then began on March 3rd of 2009, which Lee pleaded the insanity defense. His psychiatrist claimed that God told him he was evil. I thought people say the devil tells them that. Ultimately, he was deemed not guilty by reason of insanity, and he was sent to a mental health center. Throughout the trial, Lee kept asking to be killed. But they weren't gonna do that. Like, no sir, like, now you wanna die? You should have killed yourself that day on the bus, and only you. I'm sorry guys, 1 second. Okay. Later on, he was sued by several passengers of the bus. Passengers on the bus that day that the murder happened. It doesn't go on to say like whether they won, what was the lawsuit amount. I'm pretty sure we all know the reason of why the lawsuit happened, but it doesn't go into any detail about what happened as far as that lawsuit. After 6 years, Lee was released in 2015, and he changed his name to Will Baker, and he is currently free to do whatever. But so I'm done with the case. That was it, but I just want to chit chat a little bit. So this is what irritates me about the system. Okay, so you deem someone as insane. They spend whatever time in a mental facility, as long as, I guess, they don't have any occurrences. I don't know. But after they do that certain time, they walk free. Like, they're not monitored anymore. They don't have to like check in with anybody. They just roam the earth freely. It really bothers me, because if you guys watched my last video, my latest true crime video, the guy literally got out. I can't remember his name, but it happened. Well, he was from China. But no, was he from China? Anyway, my last video, he did his time in the mental facility, and then eventually all of